In today's session, it's my pleasure to introduce Gaspar Kirbis. Gaspar is a friend and colleague from the Trainers Forum, and we collaborated in Barcelona a few years ago and in Bergamo last autumn. Gaspar is a very versatile professional whose career bridges technology, organisational development and non-formal education. While studying computer science, automating processes and conducting user experience research in his early career, he cultivated a profound passion for human behaviour. Over the last 8 years, running parallel to his technical journey, he's delivered extensive soft skills training, led international trainer programs for NGOs like EESTEC or EESTEC, BEST and the Youth Trainers Academy, organised corporate team building and facilitated the EU Youth Dialogue and CERV workshops for high school students, organised by the National Youth Council of Slovenia. Today, he leverages his background by combining his tech roots with his expertise in human development, having recently embarked on a new journey as a project manager for academia at Red Pitaya. Gaspar, welcome. You're a very busy man.
Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, this description certainly says so. Yeah, it seems. Thank you. How are you doing?
Well, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, it's great to see you. Haven't seen you, seems like a long time ago, but it's good. It looks like we're going to meet up in Frankfurt in a few months, so looking forward to that. So let's just dive in. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your early life, where you were born, what was it like? How did you get into the tech world in the first place?
All right. Born in Ljubljana, raised in Styria in Slovenia. I'm 1997, so I can still say I'm a 90s kid, although still on the edge of Gen Z. So I'm in that transitional period, I suppose. And grew up in a village, went to high school in a technical high school. So I was getting to learn some computer science over there. But the whole motivation about computer science was a very, maybe not so standard or standard perhaps, because I was really, and sometimes I still am into video games. And my logic was, my friends are going to that school. I love playing video games. Therefore, I like computers. Therefore, I'm going to learn about them. And then, so that's how it kind of started. I seemed to like it. Went on to study computer science in University of Ljubljana. And that's where actually my, let's say, passion for soft skills started to grow. That's where student organizations presented themselves. It's kind of like a lot of a standard story for a lot of NGO youth active people. But year afterwards, I got involved in an event from called Trainer. It was in EESTEC, and that's where I figured out during the event that that's pretty cool. Like learning, teaching, training seems like a opportunity to open thousands of doors and challenge one's own everything, basically. So kind of that. But at the same time, I was still somewhat interested in technology, but it was not on the forefront. I was all about EESTEC organizations, traveling, and then into training. So we were working a lot and also having fun in the student organization. In the meantime, I got some student jobs, I worked with Python and Excel for some company, and then later on, I went into more user experience research waters. That sounded interesting. So to compile this in short, I was very much following what I felt like I should follow and what felt the most interesting, kind of a mix of excitement and anxiety, if you know what I mean.
Uncertainty can be quite exciting.
Yeah. So I'm very glad I was pursuing those aspects, but also that resulted in me prolonging my bachelor study for a long time. This week I was joking with my friends that this year I graduated, only this year, yeah. After
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. 10 years after I started, but it's the journey that matters, right?
Certainly, yeah.
So that's a bit of a sum up of it.
Okay. Well, whilst you've been doing your studies over the last 10 years, I'm sure you know, when you were a young man, you had some hobbies and interests outside of the IT, you know, the tech world. So can you tell us what they were?
Oh yeah. Regarding hobbies itself, like really hobbies as hobbies, my personal hobbies, I picked up a lot on the board games, but not card games, but more like extremely complex board games that you play for 6 hours straight, that require you to think strategically, and you get engulfed wholesomely into that. That's something that was my passion. I was trying to be consistent with my workouts, with weightlifting. This is my way of ticking off the healthy tick box. And apart from that, traveling, both through EESTEC, but later on also through other organizations. Basically, I was traveling mostly really through conferences, and as well as to events where I was an organizer or a content maker. So, for instance, the trainer events, we could as well call them hobbies in a sense, since they were very extracurricular activities, but through time they formed into something later what I called when you like it, when you like something for so long and you keep liking it and you don't stop liking it and you're keeping interested in it, it's I called it a passion of sorts as well. So yeah, I got the idea later that maybe I heard two camps, like, don't turn your passion into business because then you won't like it, and the other hand, yes, turn it into business. So that's how I tried also on the side, try something of my own.
Okay, thank you. Right, so it looks like you started a job, what was about 6 weeks ago, something like that. You got a new job. So tell us a little bit about that and how's it going?
Yeah, 1st of April, it was my first day. Basically, my very good friend Giga, was working at this company called Red Pitaya for 5 years already. And in March, I personally decided to myself that I really need some balance, not balance, but I really need some stability right now in my let's say life. And I decided to seek for something more stable. And so they were just looking for someone. I applied, and there comes the interesting part of how I came into the position of the project manager for academia. One part is knowing parts of the tech world, because Red Pitaya is a lot about technology. They have a product that is tech. And on the other side, since I've had dealings with organizations and a lot of people, I'm complete extrovert. I really like education and learning. Basically, it's sort of combination of the both worlds, and that's what resonated with me the most. So here I am now, coordinating projects in this company in relation to the academic aspect. So we sell this Red Pitaya to the industry, but also to academia, where I am now responsible after my successor.
Okay, right. I just got a message from my computer that I need to put the charger in. So excuse me
Go
one
ahead.
moment. Ta-da! There we go. Right. I've met you. I've seen you at work. I've seen you having a great time working with your colleagues in the classroom. What do you enjoy most about being a trainer? What really kind of turns you on about being a trainer?
So for me personally, there are of course various aspects, but the most is the setting you create as a trainer, the environment for people to learn. Now, to make it not sound too cliche, it's about training. Training has so many different aspects, from preparation to design to research to, and different trainers like different things. Me personally, I enjoy the most in the moment during the session, where I see things are going well. People are having fun, they're learning, we're having a good vibe, discussion. It's very relaxed. At the same time, we're progressing. And if I upgrade that to another level, I feel that even more on longer events, multi-day events, and that's why I gravitated also towards the trainer events, because they're humongous beasts of 10-day organization of learning, at least NGO or 5-day, and preparing, crafting what experience will our participants have during those 10 days, also before the event. So working on it months and months to work out the details towards that, and then seeing and feeling and being in the result is giving me the most fulfillment as a trainer. That would be the biggest, that would be the most. And the second, I would say, is tinkering and playing out with design of the learning experiences itself, just in short.
Now, I used to be an IT trainer. I used to work for Sun Microsystems and Oracle as a freelance trainer. I really loved it, but what I loved more was I loved the tech side of things, but I also, I don't know, I got involved in speakers clubs in Britain and started running a speakers club, and you know, I was being torn by personal development, if you know what I mean. And yeah, it was a big break for me when I stopped my IT career, which was during the financial crisis. It was about 2008, I think. Um, yeah, it was. I had loved working in that IT field. I was working with very smart young people, you know, graduates. To be honest, I always thought that if I just gave them the book, they could probably work it out for themselves. But I just really enjoyed being in front of them and having, you know, we had a great time in the classroom. And I think, as you say, creating that environment where everyone feels comfortable and safe, and you know, taking work seriously but not taking ourselves too seriously. That was always a great feeling. Okay, so this transition from studying computer science and now you're a soft skills trainer, but rather, as I was saying there, do you ever wonder about the balance of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and have you ever sort of doubted whether this was the right decision for you?
Yeah. So it's an interesting one indeed. Well, when I was in high school and faculty, the market was all about go IT, and the jobs are there. So there was also this natural push towards there from kind of a society side, in a sense. And later on, even in the past years, I felt in the back of my mind always, hey, if your training career doesn't work out or anything, you can always go back to computer science, you know. So in a sense, this was a part of me. And on the other hand, these were very much two completely different worlds for me. Now, for months or years, IT stayed behind, and I came back to it in one way or another. And until, I suppose, it culminated in the last 6 months, perhaps, where I started more thinking how to sell myself, which is, I found, one of the toughest things for me to do. I can, ramble about a product or anything to someone, but it's much harder to sell myself in a sense of my services in training and so on. And so then I started thinking and speaking to people. That's why I also went to these trainers forum conferences to get perspectives. And someone told me, hey, and got me thinking to join these two together, right? As a trainer who knows, who has a background in technology, and they are passionate about soft skills, is maybe a clue towards a certain niche. So I am kind of working in the back of my head to work even with that idea right now. So definitely, it's maybe not even so much of a transition, but a blend now, like a good roast blend.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. I mean, it sounds from our discussion that you whatever you're doing, you seem to be having a good time, which is makes the days pass very quickly. I find if you've ever had a job that you really dislike, every hour seems like a week. So when you're really switched on and really enjoying yourself, it's a great feeling because I think that rubs off on other people as well. So. Give us a little bit more detail. What type of projects are you really involved in? What would you say is an ideal or a favorite project that if you could start it tomorrow, what would it entail?
So, would it be, for instance, like a personal project, right? Or
well, any way you want to frame it.
Yeah. I would really like to have my own train-the-trainer event, and not necessarily even my own. Like, I would love to be involved in these kind of things from a professional aspect. I think I have done a couple of different ones. I have drawn differences between them, and I have a pretty good grasp of how I would craft my perfect train-the-trainer event, so to say. So if I would start any project tomorrow, I would sit down and try to craft an experience of trainer from the ground up, from my own thoughts, from all of what I've learned so far. Ideally, yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I will send you the outline of my train-the-trainer course. But as you say, if you were to put something together, if you were to get it down on paper, I'd like to see what you would include in your train-the-trainer, and we could compare notes. That would be fun.
Yeah, sounds great. I would definitely love. I would love to exchange that and engage my brain into it.
Okay, that's the deal. So tell us about is it EESTEC, and what sparked your passion for training?
Through EESTEC, yeah. Okay, so in EESTEC, I actually started my training career, and EESTEC is quite relatively large NGO, still half as big as BEST. BEST is like humongous. But EESTEC also has a quite sophisticated training system. So that's where I actually kind of also bounced off my passion off of others. So because EESTEC has a great community of trainers, and where I got my mentor, where I got opportunities to learn and train, where I got to travel as a trainer to other branches in EESTEC. For instance, my first big event in EESTEC as a trainer was an event called the Boost Camp, which was about teaching members of EESTEC about organizational management and how to, about HR, FR, PR, leading an association and so on. And that was one of the more challenging experiences, because by that point, I had done only one training so far before I did that event with a team. So I really kept training in my head all the time during my studies, and went on for all of the opportunities where I, like I said before, where I felt that anxiety, excitement combination. And so I also then applied to my first trainer event as a trainer. It was very scary. At the same time, it got cancelled. It got postponed. COVID came. It was
Oh dear.
2020, couple of days until the flight. Then the big news came. Everything started closing. Flights got cancelled, and you can imagine the disappointment we had, all of us. It's like 22 people that were supposed to travel to Athens in Greece. Now we will not, But I guess that connects back to the passion of trainers in EESTEC, and mine as well, in a sense, because we really wanted to have that event. And so we gathered interest whether we can still do it. Could we postpone it? And we did. We postponed it. We were looking at all of the possibilities of maybe doing it, right? Maybe doing it live. We everything seemed impossible, but we were like, let's try it. Let's keep our eyes open. At that point, this was also a blessing in disguise for me, because we had around roughly 2-3 months to prepare for that trainer, right? And now, as a result of COVID, we had months more. We had 4 more months, roughly 3 to 4 more months, until the event actually happened live. We managed to have it live during summer, where luckily it was in Greece. That's the summer where Greece opened up to the tourists. Everybody thought, hey, it's over. Let's go out, There were no regulations, heavy regulations there. So we didn't have all of those precautions that we had a couple of months afterwards, right? And so we actually did that event. And there was one unfortunate challenge that happens there as well. It was, so we had 3 Turkish trainers and a couple of Turkish participants, and Turkey closed borders at the end of July, right a few days before our event started. So we ended up with half the team of trainers. So 6 trainers, but now reduced to 3 trainers for 12-day train the trainer. It was a bit scary. Yeah. So that was very unfortunate, but at the same time, we gathered our spirits and energy, and we did it. We did it, and participants also felt that. The participants felt that. Participants felt that. The situation. They're not blind. They know that we were 3, so it was kind of like a one big team supporting each other, and it really bonded us at the same time as well. The other trainers from Turkey supported us through giving online presentations to cover theory, which we were. It would be very hard to prepare in a few days for additional sessions, which we already had to. So that was a very good outcome in the end, an example of like really one of the big experiences in EESTEC as a trainer I had in the end.
That was your first one. That was your first trainer.
Yes. And that's also then led me to learn so much more about it. If we had 4 more months to prepare it, why I said blessing in disguise is also because I actually could sit down and prepare for the sessions, Yeah, so
just thinking that what you described, we call that a baptism of fire.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay, let's get back into the training room, and everything is normal. We're not put off by COVID or borders closing and things like that, and half the trainers missing. What would you say is your biggest challenge in the classroom? If you have that, if that's a good question, or do you, when you walk into the classroom, in the back of your mind, are you sort of supremely confident and just looking forward to it?
Yeah, good question. Through time, I learned to feeling confident and relaxed, and being ready to be happy with participants no matter what is my priority. So I try to do everything to limit that, not to limit that, but to make it possible. So the bigger challenges come. The biggest challenge for me would be if I would be too confident, for instance. Let's say if I would mismatch the needs of the participants, and that would be, for instance, quite a different one. So my limitation is sometimes can be if I don't prepare enough for the content, because I really like to improvise. Like improvisation is something I really like, and I often don't spend enough time to really structure my thoughts to a methodical, structured presentation, and so I often work with discussion, questions, presentation. So I try to make it as engaging as possible. So following that, one of the challenges I would have is definitely if I would have to do like a 20-30 minute presentation. It's something that I try to avoid as much as possible. So that's definitely one part, and another is the logistical challenges that often come along the way in the classroom itself. Oftentimes its room is different than you imagined, because you thought that it will be like everyone said, and then at the same time, when you step into the room, you see, oh, there's no moving chairs. It's an auditorium. How am I going to do groups of 5, for instance, right? But you find out.
I think, as you say, you improvise and you just transition smoothly from one thing to the next.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you've worked for a number of different, training organisations. Do you have a favourite, or could you tell me any differences that you've noticed across associations?
My favorite, well, right off the bat, it's EESTEC, because it's the one that I was, let's say, raised in through years. And the others I have been involved in one way or another, and a lot through trainer events. And so differences I gathered were a lot from what are the differences between those events, as well as if I would say which would be my second favorite, it will be definitely Trainers Forum, because it seems to me like a constant in the training NGO universe, which builds a community of trainers, versatile trainers from all around. That's a bit of the limiting factor of student NGOs sometimes, is because EESTEC is focused on electrical engineering, computer science, has their own bubble. Another NGO has their own bubble. Here in Trainers Forum, what I really like, for instance, is that it's like opening, hey, come trainers, like work with us, in a sense. And the structure itself is really opposite of anything else I've ever seen. It's the flattest structure I have ever experienced in Trainers Forum. So that's for sure what I really like here. That's why I've been also going to every conference since 2021, I think. So 4 times I was there. And
Cool.
I
Very
met
good.
people. Yeah, and I don't know, regarding differences between NGOs like EESTEC, BEST, EESTEC, they work fairly similarly, and the differences are often in the details. So if I focus maybe on the training system, there are differences in details like how participant selection is done on train-the-trainer events, and also difference like who gets to choose the participants for the trainer event, right? When I was at Youth Trainers Academy, the OC oversight council chooses the participants, and in that context, this works very well because YTA is open to everyone, and it puts less load on the trainers that are usually quite experienced, and it saves a lot of time and energy that they don't need to deal with there. On the other hand, in associations like EESTEC and BEST, they care a lot who gets accepted into the trainer because they're the ones who will be building the training culture in those organizations. So that's maybe an interesting difference that exists out there.
Okay, thank you. Right. So moving between IT and personal development, what would you say are the biggest communication challenges that teams face today?
In IT, communication challenges in teams. Okay, so I'll tell you one concrete example. We had a training recently for a company, and they were more of like a IT focused sector, like BI, AI departments, IT, and so on. And we did this team building combined with some workshop session of 4 hours. And what we noticed even before we heard this, but what I realized is that they have met like this together for the first time. They haven't sat down together as a team at all, And so when we did this team building and we opened up the floor for we facilitated a discussion of what's in a sense of what's going well and what can be improved, and then they really liked it. They really liked it, but I realized that also the part why they liked it is because they haven't done this before. So I don't know to generalize this across the whole sector. It's not like that, but it seems that there are companies out there who don't have these habits of training and team building and hanging out and sitting down and talking about teamwork. So that's definitely one challenge that maybe also others have. So maybe another, yeah.
I'll just interrupt you and ask you a supplementary question there. So do these people that you're talking about, do they kind of work in the same proximity, or are they all remote? Because I have a small team of people, I've never met them. I've worked with them for years, but I've never actually met them face to face. So we work remotely, and that's one of the reasons that I really enjoy the TSF, because most of the time I feel on my own. I'm a little bit isolated. I don't feel isolated in the classroom. I love the job, I love the work, but from a team perspective, every day I'm pretty much on my own, and I do rather miss that rapport that you have with people that you like working with.
Yeah, definitely. If so here, for instance, it was a team that is not they often don't work together directly. They are a team, they're a sector, but they sit in the same office, but they work with also other people online. So there's none of that in office, not much of that in office, let's go for a beer after work type of thing, right? So something maybe that you feel as well in a sense, and it has to come up from somewhere, either from management or maybe there's a person responsible for office culture, or Maybe there's an individual in the team who is like, hey, why don't we have this? But maybe director, but sometimes they don't recognize those things. So yeah, one thing, if I move from this kind of thing to a challenge that's probably most companies face, that I noticed in team building industry, is that in companies there's often those silos. There's groups of people that hang with each other, and that's fine. That's natural. That's why, the result of that is also sometimes limited knowledge transfer, and also if a company wants to engage and make a family or a community in their company, or they want to grow and also help employees stay, they need to try to mix people a little bit, right? And so that's what we did. We did a team building events. Default is you have, let's say, 150 people, all from different departments, and you don't let them be together with their own friends, right? We mix them randomly, completely randomly. And that's where then they get an opportunity to meet someone else. And also in this, let's say, 2-3 hour setting of the activity, they get to meet them more. And so this is how team building events a lot help to break these silos, connect people with each other. Because if people are connected and feel safe with one another, they also are more willing to risk, to share their opinions, to exchange knowledge, and it's a net positive result for any company, right? So that's a big solution, or at least not the solution, but it's a big helper in pushing this spirit of values of the company further, and mixing people and letting them talk with each other, encouraging them to do so.
Let me just add another question regarding your response to that. So you say you do like a team building with 150 people.
Yeah, it's so. I was up until now, I was very heavily involved with this company that's doing team building for other events, right? So I'm working with them, and they do a variety of team building, and I was working with them for I'm sometimes part-time, and they work with a variety of companies. So I had teams from 10 people, like more technological, for instance, setting of the team building events, to last year we had a giant event of 900 people, for instance. And so there's really a variety of numbers there. And I had year ago, I think, something like that. Yeah, I had these 150 people. And, thing is, when the event is well designed and the organization flows, everything is manageable. So team building events are often very much designed to be quite different than training in education, because they're often made as self-running as possible, in a sense, right? It puts people in teams, they have instructions, they go through the Notion, they work on their projects, or whatever it is, be it they have to build a bridge together, or they have to, I don't know, construct Formula One cars and then race them, right? So a big job is actually doing all the preparations, gathering the materials, preparing, moderating, but the magic happens through the program.
I think my question really is around the numbers, in that, if you've got a team of 10, let's say you've got a team of 10 in a room, and you can give them, opportunities and little projects that they can work with together, give them a couple of hours, and, they'll come up with a presentation or a proposal, and things like that. So they do a bit of a brainstorm, and really kind of focus. And in a way, if those people don't know each other at the outset of that exercise, you will get to know each other pretty well within an hour or two. I'm just thinking with 150 or 900 people, most people, I mean, I think, I like the TSF. You meet a lot of people. You can meet 30 people in a weekend, and you get to know everybody's name. But I'm just thinking with 150 and 900, that would be a struggle to actually sit down with everyone, get to know them. Even get to know and remember their name. For me, I think that would be a real struggle.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Events at these higher scales have also very different structures, and of course, the expectations and reality is definitely not for everybody to meet, right? So it's impossible to achieve in those 3-4 hours. But what does happen is they work in those teams of 6, let's say, in this big scale. And oftentimes these team building events have different mechanics to it, which lets teams to interact with each other, right? Where they have to, because team building events are about building a team, they oftentimes have notions of teamwork, where teams then need to end up to work with each other, right? It's often not so much about competition. Sometimes it is in a fun way, but oftentimes it's about collaboration. So oftentimes in those 3-4 hours in a company, because it's so engaging, they work together, they feel much closer with each other. Not the 150 necessarily, but those 6 that work together, but also the interactions they make with each other, with the other teams. And also in the ending, there's this conclusion that ends on a high note with high energy. There's also opportunities to mingle there, and also companies like almost always have some kind of a lunch afterwards, hanging out, be it dinner or a picnic or something else.
I think the social aspect is really important.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay. We've not mentioned AI today. In fact, generally, I very rarely mention AI on these because what do you think about AI? What's going to be the future of training with AI? Is it a monster, or is it there to be tamed?
I'll steal a quote from a comment we had on a webinar today, and someone said AI is not a solution, it's a tool, which is something that I think gets more and more accepted these days, in that, of course, AI often is having a hard time replacing some aspects of work, right? Some it replaces easily, but some not. For instance, if you are organizing an event, and if you just imagine what are all of the details that you need to take care of in order to make something happen, I cannot imagine that some agents will talk to each other in AI and make something like that happen, right? So I think AI has a big role in helping, first of all, in training, to teach oneself much faster. Secondly, to bounce off of ideas that you have, and thirdly, to build also much faster what you want to build. But I think the prerequisite is always also your knowledge about something, because if I ask AI to help me build the goals, right, the goals for a session that I want to do, and if someone who has been a trainer for 1 week says the same thing to the AI, right, help me build the goals for a training, our experiences will probably be a bit different, right? Because AI just tells you things, it does think, but what you respond, what you take in is much different. So that's why I would say it's very much a tool, and it should help us a lot. What maybe is concerning me slightly is the way I learn a lot of things in training is through trial and error. For some things that now young trainers get to learn in Train the Trainer, because they are much more upgraded than we had before. It took for some things years for me to learn. For now, it takes much shorter for some people. But the amount of errors I made, the amount of tries I did, is something that maybe I wouldn't have if I had AI in front of me back then telling me what I should do or what I can do. So looking back, I think it so much depends on the user. It really depends on the user. Like also how
I agree with you. I think it does depend on the user. It depends on the questions that you ask, and it depends on where you're at in your, if we're talking about training, where you're at in your training development and your practice, as it were. So Gaspar, I can't believe 45 minutes have elapsed very, very quickly, and I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. So let me just say it's been a great pleasure to spend some quality time with you this evening. I hope to see you in Frankfurt in September, but please stay on the line so I can thank you personally. And our next session is next Tuesday, when I'll be interviewing Dr. Barbara Covarrubias Venegas, and I'll see you then.
All right. Thank you very much, Vince, and looking forward to see you in Frankfurt as well.
Okay. See you all, chap. Ciao.